Hello, welcome to day 4. Today we're going to get WordPress installed. So we're going to connect to our EC2 user EC2 instance as our user that we have created for ourselves. So I'll log in. I am my Rob account. Hopefully you are your you account, whatever it is you happen to do. We talked about MySQL yesterday, so we're going to go ahead and log in. We're going to actually create our first database. So hopefully you went through those steps. If not, step back and secure your database. You can set up as a root user that was the default we set up in security. And we're going to go ahead and create a database. I'm going to call this Hacky Mom Book just because I happen to. You can call it pretty much whatever you want. This is going to be the database for your WordPress install. You could call it WordPress. That would be fine. Or blog, or pretty much you name it. That's it. Create database, and then create space database, space the name, and semicolon at the end. Boom, done. Now we have done that, and we want to go ahead and get WordPress. So what we want to do is, since we're in our home directory, we're going to do a, let's go ahead and make a temp directory to carry some stuff in. Now we're going to go ahead and do a sudo wget, and from WordPress.org, the latest. Got to use my password. And it's going to pull down the latest version of WordPress. Yours might be slightly different because you will get the latest one. At this point, I have got the latest out there. At that point, pretty easy to do. I'm going to go ahead and extract that file. It's a tar and a gzip, and luckily that means tar can handle both of those at the same time. So I'm going to do sudo space tar, T-A-R, space dash xzvf space latest.tar.gz, which is what I just saved. And now, here's the file I downloaded, and right next to it, or right below it, we can see there's my WordPress directory. So if I look at my WordPress directory, I can see there's a whole bunch of files in there. Easy enough. So now I am going to do a little copy and paste with some editing, because what I want to do is put WordPress out somewhere else. And the way we've got it here is we do a sudo copy everything in WordPress out to a WordPress instance name. I'm going to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to make it sort of easy. I am going to move. Actually, I've got to do a sudo. Well, I guess I don't have to. I'm going to do a move WordPress out to my website under the. Whoop! I do need to do a sudo. Excuse me. And so now, if I go to var www html, I will see that WordPress is out there. It's not owned by anybody. So I am going to chown everything. And I am going to chown it to rob.www, so I can make whatever changes I need to as the Rob user. And I can do star, or I can do WordPress. I'm going to do star. So now I will see it's owned by me, www group. I'm going to move that. I'm going to rename it, which is just move it. And I'm going to call it HMB. Actually, yeah, I'm going to call it HMB. We'll do it that way. So now if I go to my site, I'm going to call it HTTPD. I'm just going to go, or HTTP, I'm sorry, HMB. And it's going to tell me, hey, let's get started on our install of WordPress. Click on let's go. So my database name is what I just called it, the one database I just created. Username, let's see, it's going to be your primary user, so I'm going to go ahead. So database name is whatever you just entered. Then I'm going to have a username, and I'm going to create it's my database username, which is going to be that. I'm going to go ahead and put in a password, and I am going to go to localhost. That's, you can sort of go ahead and keep that, and keep your table prefix that makes it a little bit easier to keep up with which tables are the WordPress root tables. So we will enter our password and submit, and it's going to create a database. Depending on what we've set up on our permissions, we may not be able to write the WP config file, which is okay. What we're going to do is we select all and copy it. And we're going to go into the, as it mentions, WP config file. Whoop. Which doesn't exist, but we hit I, and we're going to paste everything in there. And boom, we are running. The other thing we could do is, if you don't really want to do that, if it's sort of a pain to change the WP config, you can see here it is, it's Rob and Rob. You could always do a chmod, say 7, you could actually do 666, which is read and write access to it. You could do that to your WP config. Whoop. Or actually you could do it to, I'm sorry, it was a chmod, not chmoff. 666 WP config.php. You could do that as well, and then it'll have enough. That's the W is there, the write, so it now could write to that file if it wants to. So I've created the WP config file, so now I can click run the installation. My site title. This is where we have to actually start doing something. We're going to actually go with the name of our, whatever our site is. I'm going to call it Hockey Mom Book. Actually, I'm going to call it Cancer versus the Hockey Mom, because that happens to be the book that we're going to end up using. It's my username to log in. I can use some super strong thing they suggest, or I can find something very simple. Whatever it is, and then of course if it's very simple, you're going to have to confirm the use of weak password. I am going to enter my email address. I'm not really worrying about search engines. You may want to if it's a private site, if you're doing a family site or something, but typically just go ahead and leave it that way. And then we're going to enter our password. Let's do something strong so it would allow me to install WordPress. Once I've done my password, I'm going to click install WordPress. It's a pretty quick process. I'm going to come right in. WordPress has been installed. Thank you and enjoy. So now my username that I just entered, I can log in. And this is the username of the, username of the user you just entered, not your database. So this is the one we just entered like 2 screens back. I'm going to go ahead and do a remember me. And I am now in WordPress. If I go to my site, let's see, I'll take the same thing. If I go to WP admin, that's the admin site I'm on, but if I go to the site itself, boom, I've already got all this stuff. It's got a default theme. It's thrown this stuff out at me. I've got a page and actually a first post, which happens to be my Hello World post. That's got some comments and some fun stuff like that. So it's already got a little bit of information there. This is your dashboard. The first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to look at some plugins. So we have everything configured, and so we're going to look at, the first thing is some plugins. We're going to get some stuff started here because that's one of the powers of WordPress. The first thing you get is you have a Hello Dolly, which just does a little, startup little line that you can turn on. And then Akismet anti-spam basically protects your blog from spammers. If you want to do that, you can activate your account. You have to go register. We're not going to bother with that right now because instead what we're going to do is we're going to go look for something. So let's go look for something in the social world. Whoop. except for I accidentally. So we're going to look for something in the social world. We can see a whole bunch of things that have to do social media share buttons. We've got a whole bunch of different things there. So we're going to come in and we're going to pick one of these. Let's go do the social media and share buttons. All you have to do is install. The first thing we're going to run into, though, is that we do not have stuff set up so that we can connect via FTP to our site. And here's what it says is WordPress needs to access your web server. Please enter your FTP credentials. If you don't remember your credentials, you should contact your web host. Well, what we're going to do is we are going to turn that off. So what we're going to do is we're going to change some permissions. We need to do we're going to change the owners -r, and it's going to be httpd. No, we're going to do www.www so that the we're going to have to set some permissions here. So we're going to go in and we're going to do a chown-r www.www, and we're going to enter our password, and that's an invalid user. So we are instead going to call it for the name of the web server. We're going to change it so the owner is now Apache. And then we need to change one other little thing. So nrwp config, which now we have to all we have to do is jump to the end and add this little line so that it doesn't ask for the FTP. Once we've saved that file, we can come out and install. We will refresh it. And we can install our plugin. So now, if we go look, we will have that plugin there. We could go in and activate it. Once we activate it, it takes a minute. Then we see that there. It gives us some stuff. Every plugin is a little different, but we can see there's all kinds of stuff out there. Whoops. I want to dismiss that little banner thing. And now it gives you a whole lot of helpful stuff. You can do a whole bunch of settings. and you're off and running. We won't get into that at this point because what we're going to do is we're going to add a couple other plugins. We've got a few that we work with. Let's go ahead and do, let's see, we will do, whoops. So there's a couple of different plugins we like. We've talked to a few of those. We've got a list of those actually, but we will. We're going to add new, and we're going to go SEO. Yoast SEO is one of our absolute favorites. So we're going to install that. It gives us a lot of different statistics. And we're going to go ahead and activate that right now. And it's going to tell us right away that we've got some issues regarding our SEO. And we still have the default line because we haven't cleaned anything up yet. And we want to connect to Google, which we're going to do fairly soon. So we've set up our first plugin, and actually our second plugin. We have some more work to do to hook a couple of these things up. But at this point, we are off and running. So let's go ahead. Let's create a page real quick and see how this works. So all I have to do is go to Pages. I hit Add New. I put a title to it. This is my cool page. I'll get all exclamatory about it. Doesn't have a parent. We'll just keep all of that good stuff. And now if I publish it and go look here, then now, if I publish it, I could go see the page. I can go do a view page, and I'm going to see it. However, if I'm looking at my home page here, I would have to do it, or as you see, it doesn't really have things listed. Nevertheless, I can come in over here. Well, actually, I guess I can do it on either side. So I'm going to come in, go back to my dashboard. And look here, I see it's up there. I've got sample page and my page. And now I can come through and look at menus. And I'm going to create a menu called main. And I am going to automatically add pages on the top. I'll give it 2 different places. I am going to save it. And now oops, I don't see it. So now that I have created, I'm going to go ahead and add those 2 pages, even though it's going to add new ones. And now I can do manage locations. I can see that up at the top is going to be main, and social link is going to use main. If I go in and save changes and look at my site, what I'm going to see here is now I've added my pages. So I can go look to the sample page, or I can look at my page. See, they actually had some nice little useful information in their sample page. My page, not near as cool. And of course, I can go back to my home, but I don't really have that one set up yet. So let's go ahead and do that. And actually, let's go here. And I've got this custom structure. I am going to go ahead and do it by post name. This is for posts. I'm going to save the changes. And So what I can come through is my home page can either be my latest posts or a static page. And so I also want to add, which is right now, it's my latest posts. It's going to show up to a few decent, I'm going to do a summary of them. And we'll come back and see how that impacts things shortly. We also want to go in and go to our menus. And I'm going to add I want to do my page, sample page, and I don't want to go to the post. I do want to do a custom link. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to do just this. And then I can drag it up, save my menu. Now when I go back, I will refresh. I will see that I've got my home page there and I've got my menu, so I can work my way. And the only thing is that I did not set up my page properly for home. Whoop. Because it's not HMB, it is actually, whoop, the address of the site with HMB. So now if I save it and go back and refresh, and home is now going to take me back to my home page. That will do it for day 4. I hope you had fun. We will come back tomorrow and look at some more plugins and start getting a little further in our WordPress world. Till then, have yourself a great one, and we'll talk to you then.